All right. Happy New Year, everyone. This is the Cleveland weekly update. It's January 3rd. Michael Young, thanks for joining me again, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Starting things off right. I'm really excited for 2025 and having a much better year. Appreciate all of you sending in your funds through the holidays. We have recapitalized. We have been paying off the boilers and all the work that's been done. Michael, we just paid off the Fairmount 1 boiler today, and things are looking good. So Fairmount 1's leased at 97%, F3 100, F4 is 91, F5 94, and Lakewood 96. So again, we appreciate you guys working through these struggles with us. We've come a long way in 6 months, just over 6 months with Athene. We've done a huge amount of work to the properties. They're in a much better position. We're now fighting, Michael and I were just talking about fighting really hard with the city to release or sign off on the city required repairs. Also with the lender to sign off on those lender required repairs that will allow us to get some funds back for F4, um, and just working through a number of different issues with each property. But again, really exciting to be able to tell you guys that we're over 90%. We're over, let's see, 94% on four of the five properties there. And so that feels good. We're also over 75% on all of them for renewal percentages. That's expiring leases that are renewing, which is huge. Um, and lots of other good things. Collections are going up. Expenses are either maintaining and going down a little bit as we have these newer boilers that are working more efficiently. So lots of good things happening. Michael, I'm really excited to see what happens with 2025. We have a new president coming in. We have a lot of optimism because of that, which will help the market. Who knows what rates are going to do, but hopefully those help us out as well. And really, the name of the game at this point is now that we're hitting the occupancy we need, step two is raising the rents. And so we're sending out a year-end newsletter. We've been sending this out every single week. If you've missed it, phase one was fix the expenses, fix the occupancy issues, fix all the work orders and the repairs that were left undone. That was phase one. We've done all that. We've now paid for it. And also, we're reaping the benefits of doing all that with high occupancy. And now through the rest of 2025, the number one goal is to increase rents because when you and I did that rent study, Michael, back in August, it was frustrating, but also gave us a lot of hope that we were so much under market. So if like for Lakewood, we were about $300 to $400 under rented because the previous property manager was doing such a poor job. But that also tells us that if we're, um, uh, getting to where we need with occupancy, we can really increase cash flow with those higher rents as these new leases get signed throughout 2025. So, and that's across the board. Every property had those struggles. So that's now primary objective number one is to increase rents and maintain occupancy in the 95% range. Michael, any thoughts there?
Yeah, Sam, could you kindly put the on the screen the tracker?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You see it okay?
Yeah, if you can make it larger for the 61-year-old's eyes, that'd be great. Thank you. Perfect. So what I was very excited to see, as always, was occupancy um, across the board. Uh, I believe,
There we go.
yeah. So, for example, unless I read it incorrectly, so for December, I believe F1 did 113,000. It's total collected, if I'm getting that correct. Um,
Right there.
so it's almost 114,000. That is the high. Now I could be wrong. I think that's the highest we've had in almost 2 years. I could be mistaken, but I think
Yes. No,
that's
you're right. You're right.
yeah. So what does that mean? And I'm just using F1 as an example. That means that even if we don't cash flow in December, we will most likely break even. But what that really tells us with the 97% is that in the next few months, we should start to raise rents to get that up to the 118, 120, 125 range, hopefully. And that's when you're going to see cash flow.
Yep.
Does that make sense, Sam?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
as delinquency comes down, as turnover comes down, as occupancy goes up, vacancy goes down, retention stays really high, as we're seeing in our Texas properties. That's what is now we are poised for 25 to really strike and grow. Now we are poised for health. 6 months ago, the patient had a fever. The fever was 105 degrees. The patient was in a lot of trouble. Now the patient is in the normal 98.6 range. So now the patient is well enough to stand up and we can start to exercise and build back the body. Does that make sense as a overall prognosis, Sam?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Raising rents little by little over the next, just rehabbing our financial situation at each property, getting us to that higher collections every month. And delinquency plays a lot of part. I'm glad you mentioned that, plays a big part in that as well. If you remember where delinquency was month over month over month with the previous manager, F4, we were in the 150,000 range. So we're, a third, almost a third, less than
And
half of where we
and
were.
all the stuff we had to do for the city for F4 was coming directly out of cash flow.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we had huge delinquency. F1 as well. We had 45,000 range. If you go back and look, wonder if we can go back to August really quick and look.
Do I have to?
29,000, September.
I'm about to eat lunch. You're gonna make me sick, but go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers from previously in the year. They had already taken over and really reduced that a lot. But
Yeah,
anyways, I'll go back to current. But we were in the 45,000 range at times for F1, 5, 6,000, 8,000 for F3, which was disastrous. F4, 150,000 plus, which was disaster. So making a huge amount of headway there.
and
And
look at
then
the traffic.
this number right here too, renewal percentage is just crazy. Like we were at 10 to 20% and
Yeah,
just hemorrhaging money because you turn over that many tenants, means you're putting bad tenants in, and the tenants you do have that are good are really unhappy and not renewing. So
right.
this is a really good number to look at. It gives me a lot of hope and excitement for 2025 and where we can go with these properties.
Yeah, the numbers speak for themselves.
Yeah, so what you guys can expect from us, January 15th, we will get the numbers for December. Once we have those, we will then compile the trailing 12-month financial statement for each property. So you will see all of the numbers for each property, expenses, income, mortgage payments, capital expenditures, all of that. That will all be sent out in your end of year newsletter. We'll show you pictures and videos. You guys have access to this though. You can all always come over here and look at the progress photos. Remember that you can do that. We've tried really hard to make sure you guys have access to every single capital project that we're working on. So you can come in here and see exactly what we did on a unit by unit basis. Looking at the boiler, this is the new boiler, looks fantastic. We'll have before and after photos in that year end report that we're sending out. And we've already given you guys the before photos, but we'll give those to you again. So you have that. We have it unit by unit. I don't have the spreadsheet pulled up at the time right now, but what you will see is Michael and I looked at every single boiler with Lyndon while we were there in September. We looked at every single unit. Lyndon, Betty, and I and Michael looked at every single unit, took pictures and video. Um, and really the goal was in 2024 to fix the problem and know exactly the situation on every single door that we own in Cleveland, every single boiler, every single roof, every single common area, which we did, and just really be able to make up for the issues that were caused by this previous manager and make sure that nothing falls through the cracks in 2025. And so again, that's why I'm excited about where we're headed. Everything we ask from Athene, they do and they take care of. And Michael, I just texted Rob as we were getting on, hey, can you make this wire transfer for us or this bank account transfer? And it's already done. So that money is already in F1. So really nice to have them on board and just crushing it for us.
let me say something about Athene real quick because I don't want to take too much time. But 6 months ago, and now we can say it because we're past that. But Athene was probably close to quitting. They were so overwhelmed. They took on more than they could possibly chew. We didn't even realize at the time how much.
I warned them.
Dude,
They didn't believe me. Yeah.
what's that?
I warned them it was going to be a rough
Yeah, but I
takeover.
mean, you
That's
warned them
about
as
it.
well as you could. But even you, nobody really knew the job
Yeah.
they had to do.
Right,
They
right.
were absolutely sensational.
Yep.
Very stoic, very serious guys, um, extremely talented, and they're exactly what you want. They're so good that Sam and I, if we have a chance in the future buying more stuff, we will definitely consider them on other properties because they're so good at what they do. Extremely system oriented, no fat. They get right to the point. But
Yeah, no excuses, and they, what drove me
oh,
nuts.
excuse me, Sam.
Go
They
ahead.
never sugarcoat things. They always underpromise and overperform. They never, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, they have never overpromised on anything. Just the opposite.
Yep. No, you're right. And the problem we've had as asset managers is getting accurate data. We were not fed accurate data for 3 years on these properties. And it was impossible for us to assess what needed to happen because we were being told one thing. We thought we were fixing the problem, and then, other problems would pop up that we hadn't been told about or that we had been misinformed about. And so uh, that's why we flew out there, number one. And number two, we have extreme transparency with Rob and Norm. We know exactly what's going on at every single unit. And at this point, what I feel is that you and I are actually able to make decisions that benefit the properties and see improvements because of that clarity and because of that transparency. Whereas before, again, we were being fed incorrect information, inaccurate information, or no information that we just were trying to figure out on our own. And so it's been really, really nice to yeah, to be able to make progress and make a huge amount of progress in a short amount of time. So hats off to Athene, and we appreciate you guys. That's all I've got. So again, watch for the year-end newsletter here in a little bit, in about 2 weeks after the 15th. We'll compile all that and it'll, yeah, just have everything we've worked on, have all the financials for 2024, and then a budget for 2025 as well. Michael, any last thoughts?
Get back to work. Have a great year.
Happy New Year. Okay, thanks, guys.